Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: lawsuit filed against MIT accuses the university of allowing antisemitism on campus. Age jokes, fashion with a message for Trump, and a big announcement on Gaza, key moments from Biden's speech. New $80 million student housing tower approved for Perth CBD. Fact-checking President Joe Biden's State of the Union. Education Secretary Cardona is the State of the Union's designated survivor. Lawsuit filed against MIT accuses the university of allowing antisemitism on campus. Associated Press. Two Jewish students have filed a lawsuit against MIT, accusing the university of allowing antisemitism on campus. The lawsuit claims that MIT has approved anti-Semitic activities, tolerated discrimination and harassment against Jewish students and faculty, and failed to fulfill legal and contractual obligations to its students. The lawsuit is requesting that MIT be prohibited from implementing policies that penalize or discriminate against Jewish students, and that the university take preventive measures against anti-Semitic behavior. MIT has not commented on the lawsuit. Age jokes, fashion with a message for Trump, and a big announcement on Gaza, key moments from Biden's speech. ABC. U.S. President Joe Biden used his State of the Union address to defend his record, address concerns about his age, and unveil his strategy to beat his predecessor Donald Trump in the upcoming presidential election. Biden confidently addressed speculation about his age, saying that the issue facing the nation is not how old the leaders are, but rather how old their ideas are. He also took the opportunity to defend his handling of the conflict in Gaza and announced plans to increase humanitarian aid to the region. Biden's speech also highlighted the Democratic Party's focus on reproductive rights, with the president pledging to restore Roe v. Wade and calling on supporters to win again in 2024. Furthermore, Biden followed a strategy of not naming Trump directly but criticizing his predecessor's policies and actions. The president also engaged with Republicans in the audience, responding to boos and heckling with quick comebacks. Immigration was a key issue during the address, with Biden appealing to both Republicans and Trump to work together to fix the immigration system, although it remains uncertain if any bipartisan agreement can be reached. New $80 million student housing tower approved for Perth CBD. The Sydney Morning Herald. An $80 million student accommodation hub has been approved in the Perth CBD, providing housing for 835 people. The new 33-story development along Wellington Street will be ready for students by 2026. The accommodation will be operated by Unilodge, which currently owns all of Curtin University's on-campus accommodation. The company said that the land was currently underused. The development has been welcomed by Study Perth, the University of Western Australia, and the Student Accommodation Council. However, some residents in a nearby apartment building have complained that the development will invade their privacy and block their views. Fact-checking President Joe Biden's State of the Union. CNN. A CNN fact-check of President Joe Biden's State of the Union address found that most of his statements were accurate, but he also made some false, misleading, or lacking context claims. Biden falsely claimed that he had reduced the federal budget deficit, failing to explain that the decline was due to the expiration of emergency pandemic spending from the previous administration. He also made misleading claims about corporate taxation, COVID-19 deaths, and the impact of his policies on the deficit. Republican Senator Katie Britt falsely claimed that inflation was at a 40-year low during her response to Biden's address. The fact-check also examined claims made by Biden on the national debt, manufacturing jobs, prescription drug costs, job creation, the corporate minimum tax, violent crime, small business creation, and the child tax credit. Biden's claims on these topics were generally true but lacked some important context. Education Secretary Cardona is the State of the Union's designated survivor. Washington Post. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona has been designated as the designated survivor for this year's State of the Union address. This means that Cardona will be in a secure location and would assume the role of president if there is a mass casualty event at the Capitol during the address. The designated survivor is a precautionary measure established by the Presidential Succession Act of 1947 to ensure continuity of government in the event of a catastrophic event. Cardona's role as designated survivor highlights the importance of protecting the line of succession and ensuring the stability of the government. Greatest of all time, GOAT, yoga is with, well, a goat. Go to one in Dallas-Fort Worth. Yahoo! Goat yoga has become increasingly popular in Texas, U.S., as participants find the playful animals to be the perfect companions during traditional yoga exercises. The practice has proved popular with people of all ages, and the events also raise money for charity. The smaller the goat, the better, according to Roxy Banker, who breeds the animals for yoga at her farm in Austin. Pencils down, SATs are going all digital, and students have mixed reviews of the new format. The Toronto Star. The SAT, a college admissions test taken by millions of U.S. students every year, was changed to a digital version this year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The test has been taken on paper for almost a century, but with the move to digital, test administrators, the College Board, hope to win over schools and critics. Many colleges have dropped test requirements, so the digital test is seen by some as a way to encourage students to take it. However, some students believe the digital test gives those who take it an advantage, as many colleges are test optional. The SAT also unlocks scholarships, but scoring well requires intense test prep, which many low-income Americans don't have access to. The digital test is an hour shorter but set up and scored the same way, with a built-in advanced calculator and free full-length practice exams. It also adapts to students' performance, with questions becoming slightly easier or harder as they go. However, critics say the SAT and the alternative ACT are biased towards better-resourced, high-income students. Fake images made to show Trump with black supporters highlight concerns around AI and elections. Associated Press. Images of former President Donald Trump surrounded by black people smiling and laughing have circulated online, but a closer look reveals that the photos were created using artificial intelligence. The images, which are not linked to the Trump campaign, emerged as Trump seeks to win over black voters who polls show are loyal to President Joe Biden. The images highlight the danger that any group could be targeted with lifelike images intended to mislead and confuse, and demonstrate the need for regulation around the technology. Maine mass shooter had a brain injury. Experts say that doesn't explain his violence. Associated Press. Researchers at Boston University have found evidence of traumatic brain injury, TBI, in the brain tissue of an Army reservist who killed 18 people in Maine's deadliest mass shooting last year, according to Dr. Ann McKee of the university's Chronic Traumatic Encephalopathy (CTE) Center. Card had been an instructor at an Army hand grenade training range, where he was exposed to repeated low-level blasts. However, experts say that it is impossible to conclude that Card's brain injury had any relation to his violent actions. How do animals react during a total solar eclipse? Scientists plan to find out in April. The Toronto Star. Scientists are set to observe animals at the Fort Worth Zoo in Texas during a total solar eclipse on April 8 to examine how their behaviors are affected by the dimming of the skies. During an eclipse in 2017, the researchers discovered unusual behaviors at a South Carolina zoo in the path of total darkness. Galapagos tortoises that usually do absolutely nothing all day began breeding, while a pair of gibbons sang unusual songs and flamingos huddled around their offspring. The scientists plan to study similar species in Texas this year to see if a pattern emerges. Number 5 USC holds off Arizona with 65-62 victory in Pac-12 quarterfinals. Associated Press. Number 5 Southern California defeated Arizona 65-62 in a Pac-12 tournament quarterfinal game. Juju Watkins led USC with 17 points and 8 rebounds, while Raya Marshall had 15 points and 15 rebounds. USC's Aaliyah Gales was honored with the Tammy Blackburn Inspiration Award before the game. Arizona recorded 15 steals in the game. USC will face either UCLA or Utah in the semifinals. Arizona will await word from the selection committee for a potential NCAA tournament invitation. Ariel Jackson, Jillian Hayes helped Cincinnati women beat UCF 67-62 in Big 12 tournament. Associated Press. The Cincinnati Bearcats defeated the UCF Knights 67-62 in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. Ariel Jackson scored 12 of her 14 points in the third quarter, while Jillian Hayes had 11 points and 12 rebounds. Despite Caitlin Peterson's 31-point effort for UCF, Cincinnati maintained a lead throughout the game. The Bearcats will face the West Virginia Mountaineers in the second round. UCF ended their season with a 7-game losing streak. Inflection point, AI meme wars hit India election, test social platforms. Al Jazeera. India's political parties are increasingly using AI-generated content on their official social media channels, often without disclosing that the content has been manipulated. The Indian National Congress, Inc., and the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, have both shared AI-crafted videos on their Instagram accounts, attracting millions of views. While some experts argue that AI-enhanced political content should be clearly labeled, current platform policies do not require political pages to disclose the use of AI. Facebook, which owns Instagram, did not respond to queries about its AI labeling policies. YouTube, however, has stated that creators will soon be required to disclose when they have created realistic altered or synthetic content. Matthew scores career-high 35, Florida women upset Vandy 62-59 to reach SEC quarterfinals. Associated Press. The Florida Gators women's basketball team upset Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament, winning 2 games for the first time since 1997. Aaliyah Matthew led the Gators with a career-high 35 points, including a heads-up play to secure the win. With the score 58-55, Matthew threw the ball off a defender and scored to give the Gators a 5-point lead. Vanderbilt made a late push, but Florida held on to win 62-59. Matthew had 16 points in the first half and played a crucial role in the Gators' victory. The win sets up a quarterfinal matchup with Ole Miss. Biden attacks GOP over border and addressing Laken Riley's parents. The Independent. During President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech, Georgia Republican Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene heckled him, demanding he say the name of Laken Riley, a student allegedly murdered by an undocumented migrant. President Biden responded by holding up a pin related to the incident and addressing Riley's parents, saying his heart goes out to them. Republicans have been using Riley's death to criticize Biden's border policies, but Biden used the opportunity to criticize Republicans for rejecting a bipartisan border security bill. The House passed the Laken Riley Act, which requires the detention of any migrant committing burglary or theft. Well, my fellow Sixers, it seems like there's never a dull moment in the news. From lawsuits against universities to digital SATs and AI-generated political content, there's a lot to unpack. Let's dive in, shall we? First up, we have the lawsuit filed against MIT, accusing the university of allowing antisemitism on campus. Now, I'm no lawyer, but that's definitely a serious accusation. It's important for universities to create a safe and inclusive environment for all students, regardless of their background. If these claims are proven true, it would be a major failure on MIT's part. Let's hope this lawsuit leads to positive change and accountability. Next, we have President Joe Biden's State of the Union address, which was filled with key moments. Biden defended his record, addressed concerns about his age, and unveiled his strategy to beat his predecessor in the upcoming presidential election. He also tackled issues like immigration and reproductive rights. Now, whether you agree with his policies or not, you have to admit, the man knows how to deliver a speech. And let's not forget those quick comebacks to the hecklers. Bravo, Mr. President. Moving on, we have the news that the SATs are going all digital. As someone who took the SATs on paper back in the day, I have mixed feelings about this. On one hand, it's great that the test is adapting to the digital age and providing more accessibility. But on the other hand, there are concerns about fairness and access for low-income students. The digital format may give certain students an advantage, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Let's hope the College Board can find a way to level the playing field. And speaking of digital, we have the issue of AI-generated content in politics. It's no secret that social media has become a battleground for political parties, and now AI is being thrown into the mix. The manipulation of content, especially without disclosure, is a concerning trend. We need regulations in place to ensure transparency and protect the integrity of our democratic processes. Let's not let AI control the narrative, folks. Now, let's take a moment to lighten the mood with some goat yoga. Yes, you heard that right. Goat yoga has become a popular trend in Texas, where participants get to do yoga exercises with playful goats. I have to say, that sounds like a brilliant way to relax and have some fun. Plus, it's for a good cause, as the events raise money for charity. Namaste, my furry friends. And finally, we have the observation of animals during a total solar eclipse. Scientists are planning to study how animals behave during this celestial event to see if there's any pattern. It turns out that during a previous eclipse, some animals exhibited unusual behaviors, like tortoises breeding and gibbons singing unusual songs. It just goes to show that even animals can be affected by the wonders of the universe. Talk about a cosmic connection. Well, my fellow Sixers, that's all the news we have for today. It's been quite a diverse mix of stories, from serious lawsuits to playful goats and cosmic wonders. As always, I encourage you to share your thoughts and questions. What do you make of these news stories? Do you have any goat yoga experiences to share? Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, stay curious, stay Six. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the Six-Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of Six-Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.